Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I'm joined today by my two semi-irate co-hosts. To my right, it is the one, the only, Uncle Sam.
Fucking window tint. Window tint. Are you
To my left,
kidding me?
it is none other than our very own Mr. Zolo, Mike Palazzolo.
Semi-irate because only half of us are irate, and I'm not the half that's irate.
There's only one irate co-host today. And behind the computer, as always, it's Bruce Tugboat Venditti.
What's going on?
All righty.
Didn't work.
Yeah, he tried to set up a camera on himself and didn't do it right. So
I'll fix it. Got to get the
It
instant.
just needs to be lowered there. All we got is the bottom of your chin.
It's exactly what it's supposed to look like.
I'm sorry? It should go down a little more so we can see your shirt that says I love sausage on it. Can you pan it down a little bit?
anyways.
I'm not up there yet.
So, how was everyone's weekend, Uncle Sam?
I was all right. It's okay.
How was today? Good day at work?
Yeah, it's great. Living the dream. Living the dream.
Zolo?
Watch some good football over the weekend.
Wait, he's holding back?
He's holding back, I guess.
What?
You came in with this preamble.
You have one thing, I thought.
that you had a, yeah,
What are you
your
talking
one
about?
thing.
You have one
Fucking
thing.
ticket, dude. Window tint. Stupidest thing police can ever write ticket for. Give me a fucking break. You're all assholes. Every fucking one of
Most of you.
that write people for window tint suck. Suck. Go ahead.
Zolo, how was your weekend?
Weekend was strong.
Take us from the top.
Weekend was strong. Friday, I didn't do anything. Saturday, I played like 4 hours of pickle, and then I did whirly ball at night. We missed you. The Arabs are very disappointed that you didn't show up. They
The
want to
Arabs
meet you
wanted
soon.
you at
Both of you.
Sorry?
they
Both of
wanted you. They wanted us at Whirly Ball.
I don't do whirly ball.
Do you know
I have
whirly-
my own version of pickle that I play.
It's not
It's
Whirly
not
and
pickle.
pickle are
It's not
different
pickle.
things.
Okay.
Whirly ball, you're in a bumper car, and you got a little scooper with a wiffle ball, and you shoot it at a net, and you beat the shit out of each other.
In a go-kart. You hit each other with go-karts and try and score goals.
That's
Yeah.
interesting, actually.
That's what I'm saying.
Here we
I
are.
would like to do that with Bruce.
Well, maybe we'll do
'Cause
a
he can't
We're
drive.
going to do
for
tip
shit.
softball whirly ball party.
tipped Whirly Ball.
Why?
Tip
Just
ball.
because I was doing 85 on 94, I drive like shit. Well, there's a
Yeah,
cop
and I
that's
get a
there.
ticket doing a speed limit
There's
for
a cop
fucking
that's
window
there.
tint.
Yeah, I mean, it happens to the best of us. I've had many a window tint tickets in my day.
Anyway,
Anyways, great weekend had by all, seems like. Did you eat anything interesting?
no.
Did you eat anything interesting? Or was it a low-key food week?
No, it was low. Nothing out of the norm.
Nothing to talk
Nothing
about.
out of the norm.
Nothing. Yeah, I agree. I was finally feel better today. So
I had some pizza. That was it.
from where?
And it wasn't very good.
From where?
I don't even remember.
You know, we should have a group eat live on video of Wong's Fu Wah one day.
What's that?
Wong's Fu Wah is the most beautifully ghetto, perfect Chinese place.
And where's that
Is
at?
it in Redford or Garden City?
Garden City.
It's absolutely fabulous. It used to be at the end of his street. It was fabulous. Top-notch Chinese food. Anyways, President Baker's out there.
They gave you enough food to just choke a horse.
You ordered one order of something and it lasted you for 4 days. And you know how we eat. We like to eat.
Yeah, I want to do. I wish there was good Korean barbecue around here.
Have you ever had Korean barbecue?
Yes, I have.
You have.
Yes.
I'm intrigued by that. I feel like
Why?
you wouldn't be about that.
Why?
I don't know.
All my kids love Asian food, so
You're about it.
we've done just about everything.
Wow.
I had white people tacos yesterday.
What's
Did
a
you?
white?
Thought of you. Tacos made by white people at a birthday party.
They
Not
usually
me.
call those street tacos because they
No.
don't know what a real fucking taco is.
What is a real
White
taco?
people call it street taco.
A real taco is a street taco, correct? What white people call a street taco. But like the tacos that we have with like the giant tortilla and the ground beef, cheese, tomato,
That's all
lettuce.
bullshit. They don't.
That's a
don't-
white person.
A real taco does not have cheese on it.
That
It
is
has
cojita?
cheese, but not melted cheese at all. It's not melted.
It's the
I don't
white
even like
crab.
cojita. I had like
queso
shredded.
blanco.
I had shredded American.
Yeah, it was just the
It's queso blanco, no shredded American. Any kind
Yeah.
of shredded cheese on it's not real.
The first things first, the tacos weren't that bad because they had all the fixins, but it just, when I think of tacos, and I'm gonna duck actually. When I think of tacos, I think of Taco Bell.
There's been many a days when at 2 a.m, getting out of the bar when I've stopped at Taco Bell and got Got a goddamn
We're all on the
30
same playing
pack.
field. We're all on the same.
Got a 30 pack.
taco 12 pack.
Puke that fucker up all
When's the
night.
last time you had White Castle?
I have White Castle every now and then. Probably
White
once every
Castle?
couple of months. I gotta have it.
It's biannually, and you let me know when you want to do White Castle here. Will you eat it?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah,
dude.
you do. We get
Jalapeno White Castle.
We get like two crave
Jalapeno
cases. We get 2 crave cases between the 4 of us, and then like 3 sacks of chicken rings. They have the
Yeah.
best fast food chicken. in the market.
I actually like
Agreed.
the onion chips too.
Fuck it, get
I'm
them.
a big
Chicken
onion.
rings, though?
I'm an onion
'em.
chip
I'm
guy.
a
I
big
love
chicken
them.
ring guy.
Yeah.
The chicken rings are elite.
Me and Nikki.
Get 2 crave cases. That's
Me and-
normally what I get.
Me and
crave
Nikki
cases.
killed a crave case by ourselves one time.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was the
I
most
could-
disgusting thing that's ever
I
happened.
could do that easily.
15 of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like 15 bucks.
I could do 15 with no problem.
Yeah, not even thinking about
The only problem I have is I can't work the next day.
it. Yeah, just be on the fucking toilet.
I'll be too.
You get the leg shakes, the weird
Oh, I start
birds.
singing. You know, you got to get the legs up in the air.
Yeah.
And it's just kaboosh.
Look like the Japanese flag.
It's like kaboosh. 'Cause, you know, your stomach will start to hurt after a while.
Yeah.
So you got to get it out.
Yeah. The quick ass.
Kaboosh.
I heard you have 5 things.
I have 5 things today. So we didn't have a Lions game this weekend. Obviously, we've celebrated the Lions quite a bit already in the last 7 days. So I have 5 things today, and I want to go through them. But I think we need to address the elephant in the room first. Even before we do the 5 things. No?
Do
You don't
your
want
5
to?
things.
You want to do my 5 things?
Do your 5 things.
Okay.
Is the elephant in the room included in your 5 things?
No, I intentionally left it out
right, let's
so that
go.
way we could hit it.
5 things.
All right. My 5 things, and I want us to touch on these, and then we'll get into the game recaps and everything else. Number 1, and this one jumped out to me hardest, I think. The Cincinnati Bengals are actually bad.
I don't know what's going on there. I can't figure it out.
I've noticed a few things now. 1, they lost pieces on defense that were vital because they haven't.
Jesse Bates.
They haven't, yes. And Jesse Bates is playing out of his mind right now. And I don't think they've been able to compensate for that. They made Ryan Tannehill.
I thought the kid from Michigan, Dax Hills, played well.
He
Very
has.
well.
He
He
has.
has. But it's not enough.
It's not the same.
They have no run defense whatsoever. They realistically they don't have any supreme. Their defense just looks watered down compared to what we've seen. That's number 1. Number 2, the offensive line, it looked halfway decent
Offensive.
last year.
It's
and
offensive.
it is absolutely fucking awful now. And 3, and I'm not going to beat around the bush here, we keep saying Joe Burrow's injured and that's why he looks so bad. Joe Burrow looks really, really bad right now. It might be the calf. It might be something between the ears, but he looks bad. And Jamar Chase was visibly upset after yesterday's game, saying that he's always open, and he's been open, and Joe Burrow is missing him. Their offensive line, Joe Mixon
He's
can't
too
get
busy
started.
trying to fucking run for his life.
It's just
to
bad.
even look downfield right now. It
It's
just looks bad. I don't know what it is. They don't have a tight end to answer at
No.
all.
They
At
don't have
all.
they don't have a tight
And
end.
that's a quarterback's best friend, and he doesn't have one.
And Burrow's constantly in trouble.
Is this 5 things just on that
They
game, or is
cannot
that
run the
first
football.
thing?
No, that's the first thing.
Okay,
Go
can
ahead.
I chime in here?
Yes, have at it.
I'm gonna spit some numbers at you, and they're not mine, but I'm gonna spit some numbers at you guys on Joe Burrow. And I am a Joe Burrow apologist because I watched him in college. I think he's incredible.
Absolutely love him.
I don't think what he did his 2 of last year and the year before. I don't think it was a fluke. I think he's excellent.
I agree.
I definitely think he's messed up right now. Let me tell you why. Since being made the highest paid player in the NFL, he has the lowest passer rating at 69.1, behind Zach Wilson and the ever horrible Desmond Ridder. He has less passing yards than Josh Dobbs and Justin Fields after yesterday.
Jesus Christ.
He has a lower completion percentage than every quarterback besides Jordan Love and Anthony Richardson, and the least amount of passing TDs of any starting quarterback in the league. He's off to a horrible start. And we know, if people want to bash him and say Cincinnati's bad, by the way, no shout out given to Joe Eid. Joe Eid, you'll never see this, but you suck. I hate you, and your music is horrible. He's a huge Bengals fan. Anyways, we can't ignore what Burrow did in his last 4 years. I mean, his Heisman season, and it was one of the best quarterback seasons I've ever seen at LSU. Okay, so his Heisman season, his national championship, he tears his ACL his rookie year, and then years 2 and 3, he goes to Super Bowl and AFC Championship game.
Right.
We can't ignore that. So I don't think Burrow is that bad.
I didn't say Burrow's bad.
It's the Bengals.
The Bengals right now are actually bad.
But it starts with Burrow.
Correct. Burrow is playing awful at this moment. Does that mean Joe Burrow is bad? No. Burrow is playing awful, and the team around him is suffering immensely for it. And I'll be honest, right now, today, I don't think the Bengals are making the playoffs. Like, I think there's a situation where they're not in the playoffs.
They can't turn this around real soon. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Because there's some serious other competition in the AFC now. And this is going to take
Well, they're kind of lucky. Tug and Rub is hurt, so they got some injuries going on over there. So they'll drop a few games here because obviously Dorian Thompson.
Guess what? I'll be honest with you. If Cincinnati played Cleveland yesterday,
Cleveland wins.
Cleveland would have won. But
Possibly.
the AFC as a whole is bringing me into my second point here.
Please.
Houston's a playoff team.
They're for real.
Do you think division winner or wild card?
I don't think it's going to be a division winner. All right. I think that at the end of the day, Jacksonville is.
They beat Jacksonville already. I still think they could be a division winner.
I'm aware. I don't think Houston, because you have to remember, at the end, Stroud is playing out of his mind right now. And do I think he's good? Do I think he's the real deal? Yes, but I don't think he's going to continue to be this out of his mind. That's number one. Number two, teams are going to catch on, right? Most people didn't know who Houston's receivers were to start out the season, and now everybody looks all world. Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Robert Wood, like this ragtag group of receivers right now looks all world. 3, their defense is legit. At the end of the day, defensively,
and they're hurt,
and they're
They've
banged
got
up.
so many injuries on their defense.
I'm not going to sit here and say that I think Houston's going to win a division right now, because at the end of the day, yesterday I watched Jacksonville turn that corner a little bit, but I think Houston is a playoff team.
Go ahead, you first, Uncle Sam. You've been touting D'Amico Ryans for as long as I've known you.
No, he's doing it the right way. What are they doing? They're controlling the ball. They're
Line of scrimmage, both sides.
they're controlling both sides of the
heavily.
ball. And they got what's really good is they got Stroud on a rhythm. Stroud is in rhythm, man.
Stroud looks
he's not
all
sitting back
fucking
there. He's
world
not
right now.
taking sacks.
I know.
He's stepping up into the pocket. He's not scared. And he's putting the ball downfield. And I told you guys from the beginning, this guy is the most, he can make all the throws. He was the most ready quarterback in the draft.
It's a pleasure to watch, CJ.
It is.
Yes,
it is.
It's pure to watch him right now. And he's probably, at the moment, he's a top 5 quarterback.
Is he as electric as Anthony Richardson? No.
Honestly,
Never going to be.
And doesn't have the cannon that Richardson has.
he doesn't.
Never going to be.
But
Never
right
gonna
now,
be Anthony Richardson.
Right now,
The problem with Anthony Richardson is
Anthony
Cam
Richardson,
Newton reincarnated.
he's destined for Cam Newton.
That's
He's going to have a couple great,
Correct.
fantastic years.
till teams catch up with it,
And
and it'll be over.
my honorable mention into this Houston as a playoff team thing is not this year, but next year, if Indianapolis can add a couple pieces, Indianapolis could easily, you could have 3 playoff teams come out of that division.
You could, if Jacksonville holds their end of the bargain. Back to Nico Collins real quick. He leads the league in yards after catch. And he is just, oh, man.
He looks so good.
He was good at Michigan, too. He got overshadowed in that recruiting class because they landed Donovan Peoples-Jones, who was from here, went to Cass Tech, was a 5-star. Michigan went into Alabama and raided Nico Collins, who is the best receiver in Alabama, stole him out of their backyard. And Nico Collins, he was kind of banged up in college, but he did some damage. He was that big 6'4", down-the-field threat, and it's showing right now. He's got a guy...
It's showing at the level it should show.
Yeah. He reminds me of mini Calvin Johnson with his size and his speed, and watching him just stride like a gazelle down the field after he makes catches. It's a pleasure to watch him. Tank Dell has been as advertised, and he's even making Dalton Schultz look good. And you know what else? It made their run game benefit yesterday. Damon Pierce finally had a serviceable game.
Why do you think that is? They're actually throwing to set up the run.
When you got to set up when you got to respect the pass, it's going to set up the run, and when you got to respect the run, it's going to set up the pass. It's a symbiotic relationship. It goes hand in hand. It is an absolute pleasure watching C.J. Stroud dominate right now.
Their defense is for real. It's a bunch of no-name guys.
They're missing Stingley, and they're they're gonna. I think they still have one pick next year. They traded one pick, but they still have another pick. And it's going to be really fun to watch them going forward. They are doing it the right way.
I don't know whose pick they have. Whose is it?
They have their – I don't remember. I don't think they do have their pick.
They have somebody else's pick.
They have someone else's pick. That's why they were able to go and move up to go get Will Anderson and Stroud last year. And it's fun to watch them. I'm excited to watch Stroud and Collins and Dell every week.
I agree.
You look at the trade that they had made when they got rid of Tug and Rub. That's how you got the best defensive player, supposedly,
Correct.
and
yes,
the best quarterback in the draft.
Right. And I mean, they've added all these pieces over the last 2-3 years.
Yeah,
and
that was for Tug and Rub, and they get one more next year. One more pick next year.
Oh,
for
that's
Tug
right.
and Rub.
Okay, so Cleveland's. Okay, I don't know. I think they traded their pick. This year.
To move up.
Their pick is looking like it's going further and further back if it's their pick. The Cleveland pick, in all likelihood, will be higher than their pick. Either way, they're still going to have a mid-round first to do whatever they want. It doesn't seem like they have to make their offense better. Maybe you add a running back or whatever, but they can keep adding to D'Amico Ryans' defense. And then again, Stingley comes back next year. Another year of Will Anderson under his belt.
They need to add to
the right
the
direction.
defensive line. They need to get some studs up front.
All right. I only have one NFC out of my 5 things, and I'm saving that one for last. Number 3 on my 5 things. I actually like Denver going forward this season, and I think that they are a lot closer than people think to being good.
I'm the other way around. I thought Chicago was the teams of the two. Like, I expected Denver to roll, and I thought the Bears were the team out of the two that actually looked decent yesterday, and that's saying a lot coming from me.
Well, wait a minute.
I want to hear your justification.
So this is my justification. They were down 28-7, at the half, correct?
28-7 going into the fourth quarter.
Going into the fourth quarter, and they came back and won that game. Their other 2 losses on the year. Now, granted, they're not to the best teams. Was to Vegas by 1 and was to Washington by 2. So right now, they are essentially 2 possessions away from being a 3-1 football team. Granted, that one loss was a 70-20 loss to Miami. As bad as it sounds, and I know this is a hard one for everybody to wrap their head around, they came back. I'm pretty sure they were getting blown out pretty good in that Washington game, weren't they? Or was that
they came back?
They had to push back in the Washington game. They pushed back
and came there, right? Chicago yesterday, they were getting blown out of the door by probably the worst team in football. They came back and won it. If they can play 3 quarters of football the way that they have been playing 1 quarter of football, I think they're going to win some games. And I think that they're to that point where that division right now, I have more faith in Denver than I do the Chargers, especially now with the situation that's unfolding there with Herbert and Vegas, hands down. Right now, Denver is the only other team in that division that I think could win more than 5 games, 6 games. They were this close.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Rebuke
See
me.
what happened. Well, I mean, Javonte Williams is out again now. Who knows for how long? I mean, that kid
Jaleel McLaughlin stepped up pretty good yesterday.
Yeah,
he stepped in and he basically took that spot.
They looked good. I mean, granted, they were getting blown out, but when they got it together, when it all comes around, they actually look good. Like
at times Russell Wilson looked like the old Russell Wilson.
That's what I'm saying. You're starting to see the glimmer.
But like you just said, they haven't been able to do that for 3 quarters of a game.
They haven't been able to do it for 2 quarters of a game. They do it for 1 quarter of a game.
Seems like 1 quarter of a game, he looks like his old self. The rest of it's dog shit.
That Nathaniel Hackett just left such a big mess that they can't get their shit together for 3.5 quarters.
Well, wouldn't necessarily say it was all his fault.
Oh, I'm just being sarcastic right now.
Not to say that wasn't true though.
I like your justification on what they did in those couple games. I don't think any of their opponents have been good except for Miami.
Agreed.
You're gonna lose. You're probably gonna split with the Chargers. Maybe they win one against the Chargers. Depends how Brandon Staley wants to choke one of those games away. Maybe. He had another choke, by the way, yesterday. We'll get to that. You're going to lose to the Chiefs twice, probably.
Yeah.
You already lost to the Raiders once, and it was at home, too, if I remember correctly. Don't disagree on the justification. I could see it. I'd have to take a big step back and say, well, what's going on with the AFC? And you just brought up a team in the Texans that I think it's like the NCAA bracket where bubbles start to burst.
Right.
We're starting to see some bubbles burst on teams that were supposed to be in that are not going to be anymore, and vice versa. And Denver was a team that had a chance to be up there, but now there's other teams emerging in the AFC that could cause a problem.
They're a bubble team.
So maybe they're closer than we think. I need to see them string together some good shit for me to actually buy into them, because the fact that they were down as bad to Chicago was a problem in itself, because Chicago is an absolute unmitigated disaster right now.
Awful.
So I would like to see them do more.
I will say this. I watched quite a bit of that game.
Fields looked good yesterday.
And Fields
looked good.
Actually looked like a quarterback yesterday. In some sense.
But did Fields look good because Denver's defense was incompetent, or did Fields look good because he looked good?
That was a combination of both.
Fair.
I truly think their defense yesterday, they were playing really soft for some reason, and they weren't really blitzing Fields because I think they were so scared of him taking off and running that had them kind of on their heels for 3 quarters. But then in the fourth quarter, they got to him. They were knocking him down. Fields was missing passes because that's what he does, and it wound up being what it was.
Next week, the Broncos play the Jets.
Okay.
If they can play halfway decent for more than a quarter against that Jets defense, which I know we're going to get into that later on, that will speak volumes.
That's a tough test.
That's a tough test.
That's a tough test because I agree. Russ has been playing well from start to finish this year, and they're kind of missing some pieces.
Yes.
But that's a tough test,
That's
right
a tough
there.
test.
It's in New York, too, if I remember correctly.
They got a shit ton of
It's in Denver.
They've got a shit ton of injuries in Denver. They're missing their guy, their signal caller on defense. They're missing their guy who went out hurt last week. And I guess is he done for the year?
Who?
Jewel?
Josie Jewell.
I don't think he's done for the year, no.
Oh, I don't know.
No, there's an update on him
last
today. It wasn't done for
He went out of that game last week, the track meet last week.
Okay.
Fourth thing?
My fourth thing. After yesterday, I'm officially ready to say that the Belichick era is over. And the Patriots being a playoff team is over. And they need to tear this thing all the way down, and they need to rebuild it from the bottom up. You don't have a quarterback. You don't have a receiving core. For some reason, he doesn't like Ramondre Stevenson anymore, and Zeke's going to be the starter now. Your defense now is,
they've got
injury-ridden.
They got some real studs on their defense.
Yeah, Judon's going to be out for the year.
Christian Gonzalez.
Christian Gonzalez going to miss 8
somehow
weeks.
got Rookie of the Month over Brian Branch. That's bullshit, but
Who is?
Christian Gonzalez got it over Brian Branch. But Christian Gonzalez has a shoulder injury now.
Yeah. So that's it. You're decimated.
They got some studs on their defense. They do. Dietrich Wise is a good player. They got Bentley. Bentley is a beast.
That's great.
We said tear it down to the studs.
Tear it down all the way down. It's done. And realistically, I don't know how much longer we're going to see him there.
No, I disagree on that last part. He has a personal vendetta against Don Shula. Do you know about this?
I do not know about this.
Google Belichick and Don Shula right now. So Belichick is going to continue to coach
until he breaks his record.
Until he breaks Don Shula's record, which he actually isn't too far from breaking. No. I think it's like 12 games or something like that. But Don Shula had some comments after the Patriots choked away the undefeated season. He goes, he couldn't get it done. They weren't as tough as we were. I don't care, or something like. I don't know the exact context.
R.I.P. Don Shula.
But Belichick took it really personally, and then eventually told people around him, "I'm going to continue to coach until I break Don Shula's record."
He needs 18 total wins.
18. Okay, so hypothetically,
that was before this year.
That was before this year.
So what do they got? One?
They got one. It's gonna take a little bit to get those 18 wins.
Yeah.
But I think he hangs around for a second to get those 18 wins, and then he retires. But agreed 100%. What was Mac Jones? 3 turnovers yesterday, a pick six, and a fumble return for a touchdown.
He
was never good. Mac Jones was never fucking good. And you got sold the Patriot narrative because he came in his rookie year and he kind of played okay. He is not good. His backup was more effective than him last year, Bailey Zappi. Okay, so they need a quarterback. I am cordially inviting them to the Caleb Williams
loss of
sweepstakes.
The New England Patriots beside Tom Brady.
The biggest loss?
Beside Tom Brady just leaving, what was the biggest loss they had?
Oh, don't say Josh McDaniels.
No. I don't know.
Nothing on the coaching staff.
It's a player.
Who was the one guy that could have come back there and kind of held it in the grip a little bit?
I don't know. Tell me.
You really don't know? Edelman. I think that loss.
Come on.
That loss of Edelman destroyed them.
Listen, if you watch Edelman,
am I wrong on that? Or no.
I do think you're wrong on that.
Okay.
If you watch Edelman talk about his time in New England, the reason why it worked is because him and Brady were on such a same page. Edelman would have been like, remember when Wes Welker went to Denver, and he was okay, but he wasn't otherworld. He wasn't all fucking pro like he was when he was in New England.
Well, Wes Welker's already his 56th concussion in.
Yes, but I mean, let's be real.
That's why
Edelman was
they
right
didn't
there.
re-sign him.
Edelman has said in interviews, Tom would say, just go get open, and he'd find him. Like, they didn't even run plays. Like, that only works with very specific people. I think that when you started to lose your Donta Hightowers and your Jamie Collins and your Chandler Jones,
a whole bunch of
and you
guys.
stopped paying all of those guys.
Well, because they didn't want to. They didn't want to pay him. That's why they all left.
But that works when you have Tom Brady.
But when you got Patrick Chung.
That works when you have Tom Brady.
Listen.
You can roll with Patrick Chung and the Harmons and the McCourtys. But then when you don't have Tom Brady and you're banking solely on your defense, it doesn't work.
I think Wes Welker was very, very underrated.
I agree.
I think Julian Edelman was hugely
The best
underrated.
receiving core he ever had was when it was early Gronk, Aaron Hernandez, Wes Welker, and Randy Moss. And that was the best.
There was a machine.
They didn't even win. They didn't even win. And that was the best. Like, that's the only time he ever, like, really had guys he could sink his teeth through. I want to talk about the Patriots real quick.
Look at his best receiving core. His best receiving core was in Tampa.
Probably,
That's
yeah.
probably true.
Probably. Yeah. They've been running a system for years, and they've always it kind of reminds me of the Chiefs. Of course, the Chiefs have Mahomes. Of course, they have Kelsey and Chris Jones. I don't think the Chiefs have the most talented roster, but and it wasn't the same with the Patriots. I don't think they ever had the most talented roster.
No, they never did.
They had a system, and they had a system of buying in and winning and doing things a certain way and working hard. And I'm telling you, a lot of teams would have crushed those Patriots teams, but they always played over their potential because
every
it
guy
started
that
at the
left
top.
the New England Patriots,
They never go on to do
they
anything.
never panned out. The only one I would say that panned out just a little bit, Chandler Jones.
Okay, and bigger picture.
Letting down.
Bigger picture, for a decade and a half, teams have been trying to recreate the Patriot way. A great example is the Chiefs 15 years ago. They brought in Scott Pioli. They brought in the Chiefs general. They brought in the guy who was helping make decisions in New England, and Scott Pioli. And the Chiefs couldn't get it done. And the Falcons tried to do it as well. And it just goes to show it's a system. And we tried to do it here. We tried to recreate Patriot way here. Didn't work. Didn't even come close to working. It never has. And the system's starting to falter because that era of players that kind of brought them over the hump and that helped them win, they're gone.
Correct. Everybody's gone.
And then on top of that, in every sport, it's cyclical. If you go so long without picking at the top of a draft and without bringing in top-tier talent for as long as possible, eventually it's going to show. And guess what? They've been picking at the back of drafts for a long time, and now they're talent depleted.
Completely.
So they do need to rebuild in certain ways. There's pieces to like. But
They got a lot of nice young pieces. They got young pieces on defense that are real nice. Offensively, they're still missing weapons they don't have. They have one, Tyquan Thornton, but he's on IR.
I wouldn't call him.
I wouldn't call him.
He's a weapon, dude. The guy's
They
a
need
weapon.
top-tier people to
He's
come
on
and
the
help
Baylor
us.
Dude,
4x100 relay
That's
team.
great.
He runs a 4.2840.
You buy into all of this Patriot garbage like I used to. All right?
I don't buy
Kendrick
into any
Bourne
Patriot
isn't
garbage.
good.
I'm not the bandwagoner you are.
Tyquan Thornton isn't good. Okay, the booty guy ain't good. None of them are good.
He's
You can-
actually pretty good.
you can make a
Boutier
case-
was good in college.
On offense, you can make a case that Ramondre Stevenson is okay,
Yes.
and that's someone you can continue to have. You asked Judon if he still has some life in him, if he wants to wait it out. You got Christian Gonzalez. Other than that, I don't know who is untouchable in that system. I know you
I
disagree.
like Bentley. Bentley's real
Yeah, but
nice.
dude, you're talking about guys.
Dietrich
that-
Wise is very young. He's
don't-
real nice.
You know what Juwan Bentley is? He's their Alex Anzalone.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, he is.
You need to fucking stop.
He is.
Yeah, you need to watch him. He plays downhill constantly.
He's their Alex Anzalone.
Listen.
Bullshit.
This is a loaded Sunday recap. We've spent too much time talking about
Way
a
too
team
much
that
on
comes
5
out of
things.
my ass after the Whitecaps.
Okay, can we
talked
go to
about
the
a minute ago.
games?
He's got one more thing.
That was the fifth thing, I thought.
That was the fourth thing.
Motherfucker. What's the fifth thing?
All right, you can say what you want about my 5 things, but they've incited some nice conversation, okay? So, we don't have Lions to talk about today, so we had to fill up the first half hour somehow. So,
Okay.
my fifth thing, the NFC South is going to be the most competitive division in football.
Well, they kill each other. And we had this conversation when the schedule came out. We knew something favorable was going to happen for one of those teams because they get to play each other. And all of them finished with bad records last year. It's just weird, and we'll get to it. It's weird the team that's emerging. It's the team that we all picked to finish last, which is Tampa. But they're good. They're good. We can't not say they're good. They lost to the Eagles, and it wasn't even that bad of a loss, even if the Eagles aren't great. But Tampa is good, and that's a team that the Lions play in 2 weeks that they're probably going to have their hands full with. Tampa is a good team. Go ahead. I see you
I
over
agree.
there.
Oh, I agree.
Who do you think comes out of the division?
I don't know.
I think
was
it's
trying to
Tampa.
figure this out.
I
don't
think it's Tampa.
For me, I'm still between Atlanta and New Orleans. At some
At what point are we going to give up on the Tesman thing here?
I'm not.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
I want to talk about both of those teams when we talk about yesterday.
The Mike Evans injury now is
That could derail things.
that
for
could
them.
that could get very scary very
Because without Evans, they don't have that big body threat. They don't
that's
have
a
it.
massive loss for their offense. Even though that what's his name looked actually really good yesterday. He had a couple of touchdown
Godwin.
passes. No, it wasn't Godwin. Who
oh,
was
the white tight end.
No, the
Not
not
Cade
Otten. The other guy, the receiver. He's a rookie.
I don't know.
I'm having a moment right now. I'm pulling an Uncle Sam. Hold on.
That's me. I'm good for forgetting one or mixing someone up. Once
Devin
a show.
Tompkins. Devin Tompkins. I thought he looked pretty good yesterday. 4 receptions, 45 yards, and a touchdown. I liked watching him play. Nobody knows who he is, but
I know who he is.
You know Devin Tompkins?
Yes, I do.
You big Buccaneers guy
He
now?
was a rookie last year.
All right, should we get into it?
Yeah, and we could spend a little bit less talking about some of these things,
Correct.
considering what we did.
Yeah,
but
we've
yes.
already discussed some stuff. Let's go.
Well,
Start
we're gonna
in
start
London.
in London with
God.
Atlanta playing Jacksonville. Jacksonville ended up besting them 23-7. This game was never really in question
No.
at all. Jacksonville was in complete control. I liked the way Jacksonville's defense played yesterday. They had they did a nice job stopping Ritter. But again, the big question mark here for this Jacksonville defense is, can they stop the run?
Josh Allen had 3 sacks yesterday.
Yeah. It was nasty. And you want to know what's odd? Bijan Robinson had a 100-yard rushing game, and Atlanta's offensive line looked awful.
I know.
I mean, absolutely awful. So testament to how good Bijan actually is. As far as Jacksonville's offense, I was finally happy yesterday. I finally was happy.
I don't know. I have a hot take. I don't think they played that complete of a game.
I watched it because it was on yesterday morning. I was watching it on my phone.
Did you watch Andy's Room telecast? Because I did.
I'm sorry?
Did you watch the Andy's Room telecast? Because I did with my
What is
niece.
that?
They had a Toy Story telecast.
No, I don't watch it.
We went into Andy's room.
No, I was in Taylor Swift's room. It's fucking disgusting. Anyway, I I watched the game. I thought it was a little more competitive than it looked.
I did too. It was competitive in the second half.
Yes. But Desmond Ridder, I don't know what it is about him. He's not going to go much further than what he is right now. And what he is bottom 3.
He's bottom 1, I think.
Bottom 3.
And I thought of you the entire time I watched because it's Heineke time, baby.
He's a bottom 3 quarterback.
It's Heineke time. Coach Smith didn't exist. Is that his name?
Arthur Smith.
He didn't. He said there's going to stick with Ridder, but they're not. You can't let that go on.
They can't do that. Listen,
and you know what? This wasn't meant to be their year. I mean, it kind of felt like it because the door was open. But I know you were high on Ridder from the start, or said he could have potential. He ain't it. And you know what? You go get a quarterback, and you have some nice pieces to work with next year with the quarterback.
In college. He had some playmakers around him in college.
At Cincinnati.
At Cincinnati.
Is it Cincinnati?
But they still had playmakers there. I mean, they went up against the big boys, and yeah, they didn't fucking beat them, but I mean, they held their own there for a while, for a quarter.
I'm not ready. I don't want to give up on my. I stuck with him too hard. I can't give up on him.
That's fair.
I can't give up on him yet.
That's like me hating the Bears. That's like me liking the Bears all of a sudden.
Yeah, I can't.
It's time for Heineke there.
I think you're going to see Heineke soon.
Yeah.
And we've already talked too much about this game. I didn't like what I saw from Jacksonville.
Offensively, defensively, all around. I mean,
so defensively, I thought they were there, but there wasn't much to write home about because it's a team that the Lions held to 6 points the week before.
Correct.
Offensively, I thought they were improved. I still think they can't establish the run. ETN has done nothing.
ETN has been awful.
It's like they've forgotten about Ridley.
This guy is trying his ass off. He just, for some reason, their run blocking is atrocious.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
And that's a problem for a lot of teams. That's a problem for Atlanta, too.
Who do they have this week? Is it the Bills? They're still in London. They're shifting from Wembley to Tottenham. Buffalo in London at Tottenham Stadium. I'm curious how they fare because I think the Bills are prone to shootouts.
I want to see how the Bills come off this big win.
Yeah.
Because this is going to mean a lot here. Coming off
one
this
of these
big win that I thought...
For one of these teams.
We'll get into this when we call that game, but
Thank you. You're learning.
I thought a team came out a little flat. That was my opinion.
Well, you want to just go to that one?
Yeah, let's do it.
We could.
We do it.
Next up, Miami headed to Buffalo to play the Bills, and the Bills ended up the winners in that one, 48-20. I do agree with you. I thought Miami came out a little flat, but I'm going to say this. The Bills looked really good. I still think Miami is, and I know this is going to be real ironic, I still think Miami is the better team. I think Miami came out flat. I thought they had an off day, but
they were missing some guys too.
The Bills, that's the best the Bills have looked all year, hands down.
And the Bills are running at full strength right now. They don't have any significant injuries.
And Josh Allen looks like
Tre'Davious White is now done for the year. Achilles.
Outside him, he's kind of has been.
Offensively, they have no issues. I'm with you.
I mean, everybody else though, even DeMar is ready.
DeMar did play.
He started.
I didn't pay any attention to him, but listen, the whole thing is this. I thought Miami came out flat. They didn't do a quarter of what they did last week. They got to Tua a little bit. The line was a little shaky. They got to Tua. Tua got knocked around, which is glad to see he got knocked around and actually made it through a game. So that was a good thing to see.
I think he was sacked 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
like
that was a good thing.
And it was 1 sack in the first 3 games combined.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jalen Phillips did not play for Miami. He's their best pass rusher.
Josh Allen looked like the Josh Allen that you picture in your head.
Allen and Diggs together.
Yes.
Allen and Diggs together.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Diggs was eating up that corner on that side there, that Konu, whatever his name is. The one corner for Miami that's playing for
Jalen Ramsey.
The one who's
Kader
playing Kohu.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's another thing.
Kohu was getting his Kohu handed to him.
That's another thing. When you have Jalen Ramsey in this situation,
later
in the year, things might go a little bit different.
Jalen Ramsey on Diggs kind of.
I'll say this. Devon Chain is the real deal.
I think he's pretty good.
He's the real deal.
You know, the Lions were looking at him.
It's the real deal.
Talking about him in the preseason.
There's one thing.
I remember that, or before the draft.
There's one thing that worried me about the Bills. And it's still every single game. Latavius Murray led the team in rushing with 32 yards.
Ooh, I'm happy you said it.
That's a giant fucking issue that they refuse to address.
I'm with you. They're not using.
Let's put it as it is. They, for some reason, do not want to commit to the run.
I think that's part of it.
That's it. Period.
I just think James Cook is completely underutilized.
Correct.
And they don't want to commit to the run. That's part of it. There's just some weird stuff going on, and I'm with you. I mean, shout out to the Yak boys. They hit us with the Buffalo emoji yesterday because we all four of us picked the Dolphins, and rightfully so. I still think the Dolphins are the class of that division. I'm with you. I think it was just an off day. I think it was a team that was better game planned, and they were ready to go, and the Dolphins were a little bit of a hangover. I'm not reading too much into this because I think Miami's better than they showed, and I think Buffalo is at max potential. So I'm excited for their second matchup. Put it that way.
Next up, should we just let's get this one out of the way because this was an absolute dookie show. The Vikings headed to Carolina to play the Panthers. Minnesota barely got out of that one, 21-13.
Thanks to their defense.
This was ugly. Cousins had 2 picks.
That one at the goal line that he had, that guy returned basically 100 yards for the touchdown. I thought it was
drilled.
Minnesota
Did you see Cousins get drilled when he was trying to make the tackle?
Yeah.
Minnesota did not deserve to win that game. I'm sorry. They didn't deserve to win that game.
Here's the problem. Panthers didn't deserve to win the game either.
To win that game either. I know.
They haven't.
They had opportunities, and they just were unable to put it forward when they had to.
I think Bryce Young is he needs an elite.
Green.
He's green. I think he needs receiving help.
Yeah.
I think they need a few more pieces over there, and it's someone we're gonna watch evolve slowly over time. I don't know what they're doing in the run game.
Some serious offensive line.
Yeah.
'Cause they could not protect
the entire offense needs to be revamped, and then the counter, the other end, Kirk Cousins is just. I felt bad. It's the first bad game he played this year. But yeah, their defense it's tricky. This was bad. I'm already sick of talking about this game. This is just 2 bad teams. This was toilet bowl number 2 in the day.
I was just pissed off they won.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
They were due to win one eventually.
They should be 0-4.
They should be.
Was yesterday a turning point for Kirk Cousins?
I think Kirk Cousins isn't the problem. I think he's been outstanding the entire year.
That's what I'm saying.
But I don't think it will. You think he's going to trend to shit now? Like it's all going to go down?
Is he trending down?
I think as they continue to play bad and they continue to lose games, then he'll phone it in a little bit more.
So too.
Hey, shout out to Harrison Smith, dude.
Yeah.
My man was balling yesterday.
He was.
He did.
3 sacks.
I had him on my bench in the IDP league.
Yeah, you did.
Harrison Smith, he found the fountain of youth.
You know who else was on a bench in our IDP league? Shout out to CYO champs, Steven and Scott. Khalil Mack.
Oof. Should we head there?
Let's head there. The Chargers and the Raiders.
Can I start by explaining how Brandon Staley almost blew it again?
Please do.
They were on their own 38 on 4th and I think was it 4th and 1 again?
Yep.
And they got stuffed again instead of punting, and it gave Aiden O'Connell a chance to have another game-winning drive for back-to-back weeks, and the second week in a row the Chargers backed into a victory. And again, I'm confused how that guy has a job at this point because I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he knows what he's doing. But this was another dookie game. I mean, Justin Herbert's he fractured his index finger on his left hand. It's not his throwing hand. And I think they're just all sorts of out of whack offensively without Eckler. But let's talk about Khalil Mack. Let's talk about Khalil Mack.
That's why they look like shit right now. No Eckler. That's the key.
I don't think that's the key. I
do.
I think that's a huge part of it, but I also think the coach needs to go. What are they waiting to see him do? What are they waiting to see changes? This is not an isolated thing from Brandon Staley. This has been a year and a half of garbage.
What about Josh McDaniels?
Yeah, of course.
We can't. I mean,
he's 0-4. This was the literal toilet bowl for coaches.
Outside Staley, who do you think needs to go?
It's Josh McDaniels first and Staley second, but Staley week after week is making decisions to throw the game away
Right.
every week.
Don't get me wrong. The Raiders have massive issues as well. Granted, they were without their starting quarterback. But
Look at their
Devontae
roster
Adams.
from top to bottom. They got guys that can ball.
stop saying that. No, they
They
don't.
do.
Devontae
No,
Adams
they
is
don't.
banged up, by the way.
Who?
He's got a shoulder injury and he stayed in the game. And then they still don't know what they're doing. Brandon Jacobs is the 4th week in a row.
Josh Jacobs is a
Josh
good
Jacobs,
running
That's
excuse
back.
me.
great. If they have 2 guys.
Max
You keep
Crosby,
saying okay, they have 3 guys on the whole team.
Chandler Jones.
Chandler Jones is in a fucking
Bones
insane
Jones.
asylum. He's in prison. They have 3 guys. You keep
Their
talking
safety,
about.
Tyler Mooring.
Come on,
That
dude.
guy was a high pick.
Listen. Let's get this out of the way right now. How good is Caleb Williams going to look in that black and silver?
He's gonna look fantastic.
I know the Bears are going to have 2 shots at it if they so choose at the moment. If I'm the Raiders, I'm like, no. We're going to lose all of these games because we want Caleb Williams in Vegas.
Yeah, I think that's.
Well, they better dump Adams before that comes.
They got to dump Adams, probably got to dump Jacobs, and they will. I think Devontae Adams is a prime trade target. That being said, he's a little banged up right now. And I'm done with this game.
Khalil Mack had 6 sacks yesterday. So welcome back from the dead.
woke
Khalil
up.
Mack.
Against his old
That's
team.
more sacks than he's had in the last
Against
2
his-
years.
Yeah, I know. Against his old team. Should we go talk
And
about
I'll tell
another-
you what, that O'Connell kid did not play bad.
He didn't.
I didn't
I
think
didn't
he had
think
a
he was
bad
bad
game.
at all.
didn't.
I
I
really
didn't think
liked
he had a
him.
bad game.
He didn't. For
I liked
minimal prep and, yeah, so weeks. He didn't expect to be starting that game until
Yeah.
a week ago or 6 days ago. whenever it
Not
was.
even the 6 days.
And he was very serviceable. And he was good at Purdue. Aiden O'Connell was very. There's a reason why he was one of the more heralded draft prospects coming out of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
He was serviceable.
Outside of Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, you know who's the most targeted person was in this game? As you sit here and tout this roster, Amir Abdullah.
I thought it was Hunter Renfro.
It's a blast from the
Amir
past.
Abdullah.
I have a signed ball.
I remember him.
Let's talk about another. I mean, there was
Courtesy.
awful football this week. Let's talk about this garbage pit of a game. The Tennessee Titans absolutely shellacked the Bengals, and we started off with the Bengals today. So again, we won't spend much time on this. Cincinnati's now 1-3 in the last place in their division. Tennessee got the best of them, 27-3.
You hear that, Joe Ede? You're in last. You're in last, Joe Ede, and you're going to lose the jersey bet. Go ahead. Sorry.
So essentially, 27 unanswered points for Tennessee. Cincinnati got a field goal early in the first quarter.
I did not see this coming.
No. Ryan
They controlled the line
Tannehill.
of scrimmage. They controlled the clock. It was ridiculous.
Every week when we go through this, and Ryan Tannehill's QBR is between 60 and 70.
Yeah.
And Ryan Tannehill finished the day with a 98 QBR, 18-25, 240, 1-1.
Not bad for a guy who can't play football, huh?
I mean, yeah, not bad for literal absolute dung. He's awful. Fucking awful. But again, the Bengals cannot stop the run. And
I don't
they
mean
have
to
no
divert
offensive
from this,
line.
but I saw something that was interesting. I don't mean to divert from what we're talking about, but my man lost his cool the other day.
Oh, he did.
Who?
Did you see it?
I did see it.
Oh my God!
The head coach of the University of Alabama Birmingham
He had a
Dragons.
fucking huge meltdown right on camera.
Who's the head coach of
Trent
the?
Dilfer is the coach
My
of
man
UAB.
lost his shit. Was screaming at I thought he was going to start fighting everybody.
At one of his coaches. They were playing
Yes!
Tulane.
Wait, question. Who lost their shit worse, Trent Dilfer or Amu Bob last night?
Trent Dilfer lost his shit worse.
Then
Yes.
Amu Bob.
Well, hold on. It's a tie, and I'll tell you why. Because Trent Dilfer did what Amu Bob did to the refs. Trent Dilfer did to his offensive coordinator.
His staff. Love it.
Yes, his own staff. He fucking lost his mind on him. I wish more coaches would do that.
Any other thoughts from this Titan Bengals game?
No, I don't even want to talk.
No, garbage.
Okay, moving on. The Texans and Steelers. Again, we spent a good amount of time on this game, but we didn't really talk much about the Steelers, which I think we need to because this is Mike Tomlin came out today and said that there is going to be changes. What's his name? Kanaba, the offensive
Matt
coordinator.
Canada.
Matt Canada. He's gone, right?
Maybe. I think they just don't have a quarterback. I mean, Kenny Pickett's now out. He's got a knee injury. And this is something that I was wrong about. I thought the Steelers would be a playoff team. I thought Kenny Pickett, I bought into all
did I.
the Kool-Aid. I had a lot of right predictions. This is one of my very poor predictions. They're just bad. They need to fix the interior of their lines. They could learn how to run through ABC gap with those two really good running backs. They have so many weapons offensively.
Yeah, Najee Harris showed he is not washed up.
Have you heard Darnell Washington's name all year, Uncle Sam? You and I were we were on our knees for him. Have you heard his name one time?
He was targeted one time yesterday, 1 reception, 10 yards.
He's not some crazy big pass catching tight end, but he could catch a lot of passes, and they need guys that could catch passes.
That was his only catch of the year.
That guy is a stud athlete. He should be getting at least targeted 10 times a game.
Anyways, yeah, I don't know if the Texans are the bigger story. I guess if it wasn't against the Texans and the Stroud, people would be talking more about what's going on with Pittsburgh right now. But it's bad. They don't know what they're doing with their running backs. Kenny Pickett's out now. Who's the backup? Is it Mitch Trubisky?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
So you know what that means.
Let's ride.
Go ahead. Hey, PJ, pick up Mitch Trubisky. You were talking about how great he is.
I have to. Shit.
Fuck.
I don't have a quarterback.
No, you're going to do a trade this week for Baker
I?
Mayfield. Yeah. Next up, we have an overtime game between the Los Angeles Rams and the Colts in Indy. The Rams got the better of them in OT, 29-23. Story of this game, again, Puka Nacua, 9 receptions, 163 yards, and 1 touchdown. You're welcome. Anthony Richardson.
Did you start him, Uncle Sam?
Oh, yeah, he started him.
We can't ignore Puka Nacua anymore. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but
The Kuka.
I was like
Puka
hating
Nacua.
on him just because he fell under the radar. You drafted him in that league, didn't you?
I picked him
No,
off.
he picked him
waivers.
up on the waiver
Everyone
wire.
picked him off of waivers, and that's what pisses me off, and I'm just bitter about it from a fantasy perspective. But Matthew Stafford has this knack for making receivers. Cooper Kupp was good before Stafford got there. Stafford turned him into wide receiver 1.
Yep.
Calvin Johnson, of course, one of the greatest athletes ever in the history of the game, but Stafford did his part in making Calvin Johnson the Hall of Famer that he is. And it could be happening right in front of our eyes with Puka Nacua.
And the reason why he was gone in fucking 9 years.
Yeah, of course, that too. But we can't ignore it. Of course, his target share is really high, but he's converting the target shares. He's making the catches.
Right.
It's going to get interesting because they're planning on Cooper Kupp practicing this week. He's off IR. That doesn't mean he's going to play this week, but it's the same drill as the Lions with Jameson Williams. You have to find a way to work in all these reps now, and you're not going to not give Cooper Kupp reps. So I think that hurts Puka Nacua, but they got a pretty solid receiving core, and that's one of the things that we had slept on going into the year.
Oh, yeah. We made jokes about Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell.
Tutu Atwell. We were making fun of Tutu Atwell. He's had a pretty solid year, but he drops a lot of balls. And I think that's something he's going to have to really work on if he wants to get his targeted share there.
Well, there's pieces now between Kieran Williams, who had 2 TDs yesterday. I think he was over 100.
Yeah.
Van Jefferson's the one that's going to take the biggest hit when all these guys get back. But Van Jefferson, they signed Higbee to a contract extension the other day, and he had a big catch yesterday. I think he's injured too. He's got an Achilles injury, not one of those Achilles injuries.
He took a beating yesterday.
But if you're a Rams fan, like offensively, there's a little bit to like right now, and they're gonna have a
Anybody notice how
shot.
physical that game was.
It was very physical. It was very physical. The Rams are going to have a shot in the NFC. They could stare down the barrel of seed 7, which would be great because maybe they end up at Ford Field if that's the case.
If anybody watched that Rams game against the 49ers, they held in there pretty strong for a good 2.5
Anybody else
They were serviceable.
quarters.
They were serviceable against the 49ers for sure.
Right.
Everybody else has.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor came off of IR today as well.
Yeah, and he's going to practice on Wednesday.
So that's going to be
Maybe.
No, he's going to practice. They said, is it Steichen? Shane Steichen said he's going to. Jonathan Taylor's actually going to practice Wednesday,
But
which is an indicator that he's going to play.
Negotiations with trade.
Of course, but of course there's bad blood, and of course he's not going to want to be there. But the only way to showcase and get your ass out of there is if you start playing in some games. So he's got to play in some games if he wants to get traded, and I think he's gonna ball out a little bit. It's a good time to be headed back to Indy. They played a great game yesterday. They just got beat by a more experienced quarterback.
Next up, the Buccaneers headed to New Orleans to play the Saints and came out on top 26-9. It was another really decent day for Baker Mayfield, 25 of 32, 246 and 3 touchdowns. Rashad White had a nice little day on the ground. Chris Godwin caught the ball, had himself a nice game. They did lose Mike Evans in the game.
We don't know anything yet, too, by the way, but he had to leave the
they
game,
don't
obviously.
know anything
I
yet.
thought it said his hamstring.
It's his hamstring.
Oh.
For the Saints, I don't really know what happened. None of it looked good. They just couldn't get the ball down the field.
I disagree, and I wanted to save it till we got here because you covered Tampa pretty well in the 5 things. The Saints just aren't that good offensively. They're just not there. They have the 2 receivers. Juwan Johnson's now injured. They have a coach I was literally reading.
Is Derek Carr look confused?
Yeah, so his first 2 games were a fluke. And his last 2 games, he was injured last game, but yesterday was more indicative, I think, of what you're going to get from Derek Carr. And it's because they don't have an identity offensively. They just don't know what they're doing. And it's a thread that I saw today on Twitter. I saw some of the Saints beat writers spouting off about this. They just don't know what they're doing. Like, they just don't have a plan. They gave all these Kamara had more targets than he typically has in a normal game.
13 receptions, targeted 14 times.
But how many yards did he have on the 13?
33.
That's nothing. That ain't shit.
Nothing.
And they just don't know what they're doing offensively. I think they need a quarterback to execute properly. There's going to be games where Derek Carr keeps him in there, but Olave, I think, was 1 catch yesterday.
1 catch for 4 yards.
One, he just barely, it would have been a touchdown. He dropped it right at the end.
It's early, but I think the Saints have a lot of work to do, and it's the reason why I thought that was
I think
indicative
you're right.
of
They need to find their identity.
They need to find their identity.
They need to find out what they want to do and commit to it.
But that was the team that I think is going to win the division after a month won the game yesterday, in my opinion. That's the team that I buy into the most right now is the Bucks. I think their defense is better. It showed yesterday, and I think they have just enough offensively to make it happen.
That kid they got running the ball over there is nice too.
Rashad White?
White kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's tough.
Do you
Tough
know
kid.
what I'm going to have to do if the Bucks win this division? And I projected them to win 2 games.
Yeah.
Oh, give me some shoe eating on that one. Next up, in a game that I think surprised everyone a little bit, the Ravens headed into Cleveland and beat up on the Browns 28-3. Obviously, as we all know, Rub and Tug was not playing in this game.
He was getting some therapy.
So, what did we think of Dorian Thompson-Robinson?
I followed Dorian Thompson-Robinson really closely in college because Michigan was in on him. He went to, I can't remember the name in Las Vegas. It might be Bishop Gorman. I don't know. You'll have to fact check me on that. But he went to this really good high school in Las Vegas. Ended up at UCLA, which was a great situation for him with Chip Kelly, and he was Pac-12 after dark. You had to turn their games on to see him because people weren't talking about him much, but he was really good. So I've been high on this kid for a while. I thought Cleveland was a great landing spot for him to learn behind Deshaun Watson. Again, another team I just don't think knows what they're doing offensively, and
It was obvious that he was not prepared, and I blame the coaching staff on that because that kid wasn't prepared at all for what was coming at him.
here's the thing: Deshaun Watson hasn't looked prepared in
Yeah.
3 weeks, though.
Yeah.
So I just
think it's
think
the
they have
coaching.
issues. I think and that's Stefanski's bread and butter is offensive play calling and all that. And it's funny watching Baker, who has 1 interception on the year and is in top 5 in QBR at the moment, if my math is correct. And you're watching Baker light it up, and the Browns are struggling with a quarterback, and that's what they need. That's the difference. But I was wrong about this game. I thought the Browns could be for real, and I thought the Ravens were down. Credit to the Ravens. They're back.
great yesterday.
I still think I'm moving them back up as the top team in the AFC. Lamar did it all without 2 receivers. He was missing Odell and Rashad Bateman
this guy
yesterday.
was running all over the field. I was actually a little worried about him running around so much.
Mark Andrews was a monster, 2 TDs. He has 7 career 2 TD games, and I think 3 of them have come against the Browns now.
Yeah.
So just a fantasy thing to keep in mind. And
He finally woke up.
He woke up. Well, he's been banged up, but he woke up. But when everything's going for that team, it works out net well. And I think the Ravens are a force. I
Well,
think
we
they're
said they
an
would win
absolute
the
force.
division. I said they would. win that
I had them in the
division.
Super
You
Bowl.
did too.
I had them in the Super
You
Bowl.
got him in the Super Bowl, which I still think it goes to Kansas City. But I don't know. At this point, I would say they look the strongest out of all the teams.
In the AFC,
In the
I think they looked
Yeah,
strong
I agree.
all around. It was a one-off last week. It was a bad game versus. I mean,
And they're missing a lot of guys. David Ajabo is out now.
Yeah, they're
He's
banged
out
up.
now, probably for the year.
They're starting to get some guys back, but yeah, they're still missing some pieces, and there's a lot to like.
Else yesterday too. They lost another guy, DB, yesterday too, which sucks.
So when do they play Cincinnati? That's what I'm wondering.
They already beat them 2 weeks ago.
I know that, but the second game against Cincinnati, because that one, Thursday Night Football.
How about this? They get the Lions in 3 weeks
That's going to be.
at home. I'm
that's
going to
gonna
that
be
one.
hell of a game. Here? They play it?
It's in Baltimore.
Ah,
It's in Baltimore.
Well, I guess we're here. The Denver Broncos went to the Windy City to play the Bears. Again, this was a shit show special. Denver was down 28-3 or 28-7 at the half.
21-7 at the half, 28-3 going into the fourth quarter. I think you have to fact check me on that, but
It was 21-7 at the half.
oh yeah, 21-7 at the half,
28-7 going into the fourth.
Got it.
quarter.
My fault.
I mean, Justin Fields I think Justin Fields had his best game.
His first
ever?
300-yard game.
Yeah, he had his best game as a passer ever. He looked very good.
Yeah.
I think Cole Kmet had 2.
Cole Kmet 7 for 85 and 2. DJ Moore 8 for 131 and 1.
That's a good game right there.
That's two
those are
great
the guys you want catching the ball.
That Claypool
Except
stayed
for
home.
that Chase Claypool guy who's now been asked to stay home as they try and trade him this week.
And-
they're on a short week, and they said, yeah, don't expect to see him at the facility this week.
So they said there's 3 teams that could be
That was
interested.
long overdue.
3 teams that could be interested.
And who?
Chase Claypool.
Who?
It's possible trade targets.
Who?
The Kansas City Chiefs,
Okay.
Makes sense.
the New York Giants,
Makes sense.
Okay.
the Detroit Lions.
Makes sense. All 3.
You
All
would
3
bring
makes
Chase
sense.
Claypool.
Yeah, there's an actual culture here, and they need. I don't know. I just don't think they'd be able to find him targets here. But
Why do
the
you know
other
what
2.
scares me about that? Mike Tomlin, who is probably the most respected coach, one of the most respected coaches in football, dumped this guy.
Yeah,
What does that tell you?
If he can't coach him, a lot of
He
people
can't coach him, nobody can.
I think Chicago's just a really bad situation too. He's a good reclamation project. I think he'd be great in Kansas City and the Giants. I think those are 2 excellent landing
If
spots.
he was
for
to
Chase
go
Claypool.
somewhere and halfway be successful, it would have to be Kansas City.
We can't forget that last week he was their when they got busted by Tampa, or 2 weeks ago, whenever that 2 weeks ago. He was their only bright spot offensively. He caught a touchdown pass.
He has the talent. His problem is he drops way too many passes, and he turns the ball over. That's his problem.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt.
No, that's it.
That's it for this game.
There's no, we covered it.
We covered
with
Denver.
we covered
Yeah.
it.
Real quick, some injury updates. Christian Gonzalez and Matt Judon are said to be, quote unquote, out indefinitely. They're seeking second opinions. It is feared that Matt Judon will miss the entire year and Gonzalez at least 8 weeks. Steelers' Kenny Pickett is not expected to miss any time with a knee bruise.
Oh, that's good. That's great news for them.
Great for my 2 quarterback fantasy team. If only he didn't fucking suck.
The Lions have designated Julian Okwara to return from injured reserve.
That's good. They
Need
could
him?
use his help. That was
And-
James Houston's backup. He's the Sam linebacker, so they could use him in pass rushing down. Sorry, Sam.
Roger Goodell has officially reinstated wide receiver Jameson.
Should never have been suspended in the first place.
It
It's
sounded
ridiculous.
like, based on his press conference this morning, Dan Campbell's press conference this morning, it sounded like Mosley's for sure going to play this week, but J-Mo, they're going to ease in. They're going to see, he said the words, we want to know where he's at with football. That's what Dan Campbell said, which makes a lot of sense. I have a weird feeling if people are going to be rattled on Monday morning when J-Mo doesn't have a ton of targets and wasn't on the field. My guess is, in a perfect world, not my guess, but in a perfect world, J-Mo has a great week of practice. He's active on Sunday. They get him in for a couple series. Is that indicative of catches or anything like that? No, but they got to get him on the field because you can't replicate that game speed. Now, he played in the whole preseason until he got injured. He built a rapport all summer with Goff. He caught with Goff. And they got to find the targets for him, but it's going to take a second for J-Mo to really take hold. It probably won't be this weekend. Don't be shocked if J-Mo's inactive on Sunday. But they're going to get Mosley, and I think they're going to get Okwara too.
You think he'll be inactive?
I think there's a chance he's
I
inactive.
don't. Why? Why? He should be fine. He said his hamstring is good.
It's not about that. It's not about that. It's the live reps that you need in practice, and he hasn't had live practice reps in a really long time. It's been over a month because the hamstring happened the week before the preseason ended. That's about 6 weeks ago now. That's like that's in Africa. That's middle of August.
This guy should be in great shape. There shouldn't be any fucking problems.
The good news is the hamstring's fine.
Yeah.
That's a great start right there.
Get him out there and play the shit out of him.
And I think he wants to, like, based on how he's responded on social media, I think he's ready and wants to play football. It's a matter of how quick he can grasp. It's twofold with J-Mo. It's how quick he can grasp what they're trying to do right now, and then it's how quick the Lions can get him targets and can get him reps. Because I don't think they were planning on Sam Laporta being as good as he is. Gibbs is still getting a lot of targets. Josh Reynolds has cut into the target share. I don't think there's things that they were planning on. So whose reps does he take?
You're going to sit there. You're going to dump some of these guys, which are 2 or 3 shots a game, like a Marvin Jones. Instead of throwing it to Marvin Jones, you throw it to him.
Marvin Jones is the odd one out.
Bullshit.
Marvin Jones is the odd one out, but he's only got 8 targets on the season, and 3 or 4 of them came in that first week. So his reps really they're obviously out the window as it is, but there weren't many reps to begin with.
Playing behind the 8 ball. You got receivers that are getting fucking
J-Mo.
3-4 targets in 4 weeks.
You're talking about J-Mo, right? Who's playing behind the 8 ball?
I'm talking about Marvin Jones.
Oh, just don't even factor him.
He shouldn't be.
Don't even factor Marvin Jones into the conversation.
He needs to go.
Next up, the Cowboys hosted the New England Patriots and absolutely stomped them out.
We covered the Patriots.
38-3 so far. Now, if we're talking about NFC teams, where's Dallas fall in? Because now we watched them get finger popped last week.
Oh, they got punched in the mouth last week.
But they've done a fair amount of finger popping of their own now this year. So where?
Yeah, but what have they finger popped?
I mean, they finger popped the Giants. They finger popped the Patriots.
I think they're in that 3 to 5 range for sure. I think they're a team that you can out scheme if you're not as good, like the Cardinals.
They finger popped your Jets.
I'm sorry?
They finger popped Gang Green.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the Jets were also playing behind the 8 ball.
I think for Dallas, the takeaway yesterday is some new pieces kind of emerged. Like Michael Gallup finally had a good game.
Michael Gallup had a nice game.
The big one is Jake Ferguson, who is the reason why they weren't reluctant to move on from. Are you twinging right now? What's
nothing?
Somebody was talking shit to me about Jake Ferguson.
Oh, was it you?
Yep.
Jake Ferguson was 7 for 77, and he had a touchdown catch. So they're a wait and see team because we're just waiting for them to choke. It's a matter of when. I would love to see them against their division. I want to see them against the Eagles. How are you going to fare against the Eagles? Because not only is that a barometer of how you are as a playoff team, but that's a barometer of how you are in the NFC is the Eagles. So
well, they play San Francisco at San Francisco on Sunday Night Football this week.
That's a great fucking game right there.
That's going to be a
good one that I'm excited for. They're 2 fucking shitty, annoying ass fan bases that cause fights all the time. I want to see blood on the field and in the stadium.
Beautiful. Next up, we'll stay in that division and talk about a little divisional game. The Eagles and the Commanders in another overtime game. If you remember, the Commanders are the ones that handed the Eagles their first loss last year. And for a long time in this game, I thought it was going to happen again.
They were up big at one time.
Yeah, Philadelphia, 34-31 over Washington. Is Philadelphia and Washington just that kind of a game?
Yeah.
Or does this kind of bring a little bit of worry into you about Philly?
It's a divisional game. This is what you get with these guys. They play hard. Each one of these games are like a playoff game. These guys are out there trying to kill each other. And you seen A.J. Brown was an absolute monster yesterday.
He's been working hard.
Monster.
Hurts has been working hard to appease A.J. Brown. It just comes at the expense of the rest of the offense a lot of time. And it's been going on for 2 weeks. It's been going on for 2 weeks, but he got his game yesterday. So
9 for 175 and 2 from A.J. Brown.
But they're not using Goddard. They're not using the guys that got him there. You got a guy that's a Heisman Trophy winner, and you're looking at his weight 3 times a game. Come on. Got to be smarter than that.
I'm with you on
Spread the wealth.
It's just that they just beat the shit out of each other in that division. I agree,
Yeah.
but I'm also, if I were an Eagles fan, I would be hitting the panic button because they haven't played that good all-around game yet.
Their secondary is kind of decimated right now. The linebacker core is really hit.
Philadelphia is not what Philadelphia was last year right now.
No,
but
they've
they
lost
can
a lot
be.
of pieces.
They can be though. They can get there at some point.
I think offensively, they still really haven't found their timing yet. But defensively is going to be an issue because the back end of that defense is not real good.
Does this change our minds on Washington at all?
I don't think so right now because my mind would be changed
Although
if
Sam
they
Howell
closed that
played
game
with
out.
balls yesterday.
Huh?
He was ballsy yesterday. He was balls out, Sam Howell. I'll give him that. He played tough against a tough team.
29 for 41, 290, and a touchdown for Sam Howell, as well as 6 for 40 on the ground.
Brian Robinson's is the real deal.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson has looked
Has
great.
been good all year. Was great yesterday.
Now, mind you, if they're missing C.J. Gardner-Johnson, they're missing both of their starting linebackers, and you're missing the guy who was supposed to take the spot this year, gone. So you're missing all these players right now. They got a backup safety in there now playing too because Maddox and somebody else was hurt too. They're all out.
Yeah.
So they're missing quite a few pieces on that defense. Not to mention Javon Hargraves in San Francisco.
Next up, the Arizona Cardinals headed to the Bay Area to play the 49ers. 49ers made easy work of them 35-16. And at the end of the day, we can sum this one up pretty simply. It was the Christian McCaffrey show.
I had him as an MVP candidate.
I'm aware.
I had McCaffrey, I had Tua, and I said Lamar Jackson would win.
Right now, Christian McCaffrey has to be the front runner for the MVP. He has to be.
I agree with that.
20 for 106 and 3 on the ground, 7 for 71 and 1 through the air.
When's the last time a running backs won that award?
I don't think ever.
An MVP?
Let me fact check that.
I don't think ever.
While you're doing the fact check, I just want to run some numbers by Uncle Sam real quick. Brock Purdy, 283
Oh,
for a
God,
TD,
please.
95% completion percentage.
My mom could have
You say that every week. You say that every week.
Yeah.
Every single week. And then a 134 passer rating.
Couldn't throw.
When will you buy
Listen,
in?
I'm not the only one who
He
does
has
not
no
like,
interceptions on the
I'm not
year.
the only one who does not like Brock Purdy.
But when did these numbers stop becoming like my mom can do it against that defense or behind that offensive line? And when does it become?
She could.
I don't. Maybe she could. But when does it become? Okay, Brock Purdy's fucking good.
All right, let me put it to you this way: you take Zach Wilson, or
We were off on this, by the way.
what?
Running backs that have won an MVP. Jim Brown won it 3 times.
Yeah, that was 50 years ago.
Yeah,
Paul-
but recently.
Recently, Adrian Peterson won it in 2012. Danian Tomlinson in 06. Sean Alexander in 05.
So that's
So
still rare.
012
That's,
since 012.
that's
since a
3
running back,
times
yes.
in that's 3 times in 2 decades.
And Marshall Falk in 2000. In the 2000s, it's been done 4 times.
Okay.
The Adrian Peters shout out to President Baker who's
Let me
sniped AP.
ask you a question right now. Okay.
Hey,
If Brock Purdy was to go down, do you think that team would be better with Brock Purdy going down or Christian McCaffrey going down?
okay. Christian McCaffrey's the MVP of the league right now.
Correct.
Okay. So, yes, if Christian McCaffrey goes down, it's going to affect that team more so than Brock Purdy.
Wait, hold on. I don't. I'll tell you why. Whoever they've plugged in at running back, if it's Matt Breida or Raheem Mostert or whoever,
Elijah Mitchell.
They
Elijah
can't stay
Mitchell,
healthy.
whoever they've plugged in at running back in that
Tom Sermon.
in that offense, because it literally it goes all the way back. It's not just Kyle Shanahan; it goes back to Mike Shanahan, who was always good with running backs. Terrell Davis, everyone else he's had, Clinton Portis in Washington. Whoever they plug in running back in that Kyle Shanahan offense always does well because they recruit the same kind of running back. It's a guy that can get in between the tackles and be shifty, but that also catches balls, and you have to respect him. So
Nobody
I
better
do
at
think
catching
so.
balls than McCaffrey.
And if you asked that question a year ago on Purdy, I wouldn't have been concerned. I don't know who his backup is now. I think it's Sam Darnold, maybe.
It is Darnold.
So
Sam Darnold
so
would come in
no.
and do the same thing, if not better.
No, because Sam Darnold couldn't do it last year in Carolina. So I don't think that Sam Darnold.
He did it. He got hurt.
Hold on. Can I point something? Purdy was 20 for 21.
Yeah,
Watch.
he was 95%
Hey,
on completion
dude.
percentage.
Anybody could do
Hey,
what he did.
Hey,
No.
listen.
Are you watching the game?
You want to die on this sword? Go ahead.
Are you watching the
This
game?
is the worst take
Yeah,
you've
I'm
ever
watching
had.
him make some.
This is the
I'm
worst
watching him
take you've
make
ever
some
had.
huge throws.
What,
I don't watch their
what
games.
was happening this whole game?
Dude, he was.
It's real simple. McCaffrey to the left, McCaffrey to the right. Dump it off to McCaffrey if nothing's there.
He had
Dump it off
283
over
yards
here.
passing.
Yeah.
He had 283 yards passing with 21 attempts. Josh Dobbs had 265 with 41 attempts.
Yeah.
All right?
Josh Dobbs was also running for his life the whole game.
Okay, but see, you know what you are? You just make fucking bullshit excuses to bail out garbage.
No,
and
he's
are
got to
refuse
die. He's got to die on the hill. I'm letting him have it. That's why I just like bringing the
Fine,
stat line.
die
up
on the
every
hill
week.
then.
Let him die on the hill.
Die.
It's fine.
All right, when they get
We'll get his
bounced out-
pine
when they get
box
bounced
ready
out
to
of
go.
the
Are you coming
first
here for
round
the
of the
Super
fucking
Bowl?
playoffs.
Hey,
no.
Are you going to be here for the Super Bowl this year?
Yes,
Okay.
they're winning the Super Bowl.
Who is?
San Francisco.
That's not happening.
Okay, they're gonna win the Super Bowl.
Not happening. You're not even going to make it there. We're going to get beat in a championship.
I want
game.
Brock Purdy to win Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, don't say that. I don't want to see the
If
smoke
Brock
come out
Purdy
of his
wins
ears.
Super Bowl MVP, will you give credit?
No.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Get the pine box ready.
Can we
He's
have
gonna
a
die on
good
that
conversation about this game? I want to talk about Zach Wilson.
sword. Okay, do you want to start out with the bullshit, or do you want to talk about the game?
Let's get all the bullshit out. Include the penalty with the bullshit, too.
Got it. So we're going to talk about last night's Sunday night football game between the Chiefs and the Jets. Obviously, the Chiefs beat the Jets 23-20, but this game had probably more controversy than any NFL game in recent memory for me. Number one, we're going to start out with Taylor Swift and the blatant.
Oh, God, please.
The
Can't we
blatant.
just talk about the game? Let's talk about the game.
No, we're getting this out of the way. I don't want to end with her. She doesn't deserve to be at the end of our show. All right?
Yeah, you saved the best for.
Do you when you're eating a piece of red meat and there's mashed potatoes on the plate, are you like me and do you eat the mashed potatoes first and then save the best for last and the red meat, or do you eat the steak and then go to all the fixins afterwards?
I go steak fixins. As
I'm the
fucked
other
up
way
as
around.
That is. know.
I save the red meat for last.
No, I go steak fixins. Okay. What are you doing?
He's answering the question.
I'm confused.
All right.
Never mind.
He eats everything as a whole.
This infatuation.
Actually, I take my steak and I dip it into my potatoes and then eat.
I do that every once in a while too.
The NFL's infatuation with Taylor Swift is. I was kind of repulsed last night. I'm not gonna lie.
Utterly fucking disgusting.
If you go on X.com right now and you go look at the NFL's Twitter page, their header.
They haven't changed it?
No, it's still there. It's still a picture of Taylor Swift on the header. Their Instagram bio at one point today, until they literally got so much backlash they had to take it down, was the Chiefs are 2-0 as Swifties. Last night, Isaiah Pacheco, an actual NFL player who scored an actual NFL touchdown, scores a touchdown. And rather than show him doing his touchdown celebration, they cut to Taylor Swift.
Wait, hold on. Isaiah Pacheco is from New Jersey, where that game was, and played at Don Bosco Prep and went to Rutgers, all within 15 miles of that stadium. They could have easily. No, they mentioned it, but they could have cut to his family after that touchdown.
Oh, they
they were
to
there.
His family, his high school football coach, him. But no, they cut to Taylor Swift, who one, probably doesn't know who Isaiah Pacheco is, and two, that's not even his woman. The Travis Kelce now lost he's quickly becoming my most disliked player simply because
I fucking
of Taylor
hate him.
Swift.
I fucking can't stand him.
It's disgusting. And the fact that the NFL is embracing this with such open arms, I get it. You want to sell it. You want all these females who enjoy Taylor
Don't
Swift
you
to turn
have
on the
enough
game.
money? Don't
Like,
you have
fuck
enough
off.
money?
Keep it
Are
for
you
us.
fucking
This is for
kidding
us.
me? They're
This
their
is
own
for
country
fucking us.
already.
My God, she's the fucking Twitter header? Are you fucking joking? Football is for us. Keep
for
it
men.
for us.
Football is for men, not women.
listen.
I'm fucking grossed out.
Listen. I agree with you 99%. 99%. I'm gonna play devil's advocate on the 1%. This is the crazy thing, and I was having this conversation with my girlfriend last night. In her box, you like that? You guys like that? In her box last night was
I know where you're going.
was Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, whose names weren't mentioned one time.
One time.
I would argue that that's way bigger than Taylor Swift.
Are you
way
kidding?
Bigger. Sophie Turner, who is on arguably the biggest TV show of all time, and Hugh fucking Jackman, whose movies have grossed more than Taylor Swift's music will ever gross.
They were all with her.
None of their names were mentioned, which I think is extremely bizarre.
Insane.
In any context, like they made Ryan fucking Reynolds, who's everyone loves Ryan Reynolds, and who is huge in the fucking sports world right now because he owns Wrexham. He's got his own TV show. They made Ryan Reynolds look like his face was half cut off on the screen. I thought that was bizarre.
Bizarre.
Okay? So they needed to keep showing those people, even though they never mentioned their names. But NBC was basically advertised like it was a thing. They have to talk about it because she's going to be there at this point. There's nothing we can do. So if she's going to be there, they're going to show her. Also, Brittany Mahomes was in her box, too, and her name was never mentioned one time.
Not once.
They have to do it. They were advertising Welcome to New York on their promos for the week, which is a Taylor Swift song. So in a way, they're manipulating people. And we can blame NBC on this front. The NFL is a totally different thing in itself. We can blame NBC because they're manipulating you to get you to. They want to get the people to watch that drive up the ratings. But then people turn that game off. The ratings were down, by the way, over the first Taylor Swift game. The ratings were down last night because the game got out of hand for a second, and then the game turned into a great game. But here's where the problem is with the Twitter header and the Instagram bio.
That's what's pissing me off.
You can make the case that they threw that fucking phantom bullshit. What is it, a hold or a pass interference, whatever it was?
Fucking hold.
The hold. It was Lions-esque against New York of all teams. They never throw flags against the New York teams, but the flag came in after the pass was thrown. Okay,
against one of the penalty was on Sauce Gardner, one of the biggest faces in the NFL right now, outside of Mahomes.
He's not the biggest face of the NFL anymore.
So if you're Sauce Gardner and you see that ends up in the Instagram bio and on their Twitter header, that's a problem.
That's gross.
Because I don't buy into the conspiracy theories. Oh, the NFL threw the flag. That's not what happened. It was a bullshit flag, and the ref blew the call. The NFL had nothing to do with it. But the fact that we have to talk about it is a problem. The fact that we have to talk about, well, the NFL threw the flag to appease Taylor Swift and her fans. The fact that that's a narrative is a problem. Correct. And it starts with the whole Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift. I think her music's great. I think she's a great superstar. I think she's great for the kids. The whole nine.
Dog shit.
The whole nine. I don't want her in football. I don't want
her
in my
out
game.
of football.
You want to show her when Travis Kelce scores a
Travis
touchdown?
Kelce with
That's fine. You want to show her. But if you're appeasing a whole demographic of people, there's other ways to highlight women in football. They showed Sheila Ford at the end of the Lions game Thursday. I was rock hard. I was like, yeah, let's go. That's my owner. You want to show other women that actually matter in football? Please, by all means, but don't make it Taylor Swift. Show women like the women refs or every team has a woman on their sideline, whether they're a trainer. The Lions have a woman coach. Show them if you want to make money off of women in football. Do not do it with Taylor Swift. She's got nothing to do with this. There's a chance they break up in a couple weeks. What the fuck are you going to do?
They've been together for like 6 days. Like, what
we don't even know if they're together. They might not even be together.
Who cares? Who gives a fuck?
Because they're making such a big deal out of it. That's why.
Listen, he can go away and she can go away. He's a fucking idiot too. Travis Kelce is garbage. Is fucking garbage. Fucking garbage. Go on there and promote your jab, asshole. Go out there and promote the jab. You and the NFL both suck.
Amen.
Can we talk about the game? This is the game I was most excited to talk about.
Let's talk about the game. Now that we got that out of the way. Really, as bad as
politically correct.
As bad as it is, the game came down to that flag. The game came down to that flag.
Wait, hold on. The missed field goal at the end of the first half didn't help either.
That didn't help. My biggest takeaway from this game was Zach Wilson somehow in midway through the second quarter started to cook. The guy kind of figured it out. He got it together, and he was able to run the offense effectively.
There's no somehow. I've been waiting for this conversation because Chris Collinsworth nailed this last night. He broke it down in a way. Like, I wanted to have an in-depth talk on this conversation.
The West Coast offense. He did a very nice job.
So Aaron Rodgers has been doing this thing. It's called the can. And it's not a fucking dance. It's a system of calling plays. What Aaron Rodgers will do is when they go into the huddle, he'll call out 3 plays at once. And then if they need to make an adjustment, Aaron Rodgers can do it with his hands individually with every receiver. Because they're not huddling, they're going right to the line. So he has the time to do it. they structured and built from a personnel standpoint and from a play calling standpoint. You put them all together. They structured this offense completely around Aaron Rodgers to the point where Nathaniel Hackett was brought in to be the offensive coordinator. Everything was supposed to go through Aaron Rodgers this year. Everything. That's the downside of the major downside of Aaron Rodgers going out is Zach Wilson had an offense last year that he was running. He wasn't running it great, and he was injured for half the year, but there was an old Jets offense. This is a new Jets offense. That's why Randall Cobb came in, Alan Lazard. It's not hard for the receivers. You just need to know the routes, and then you need to know the hand motions when Aaron Rodgers tells you what to do. So it's like getting handed the keys to a car, Zach Wilson, and not knowing how to drive the car. And that's the reason they've sputtered. Of course, the Bills choked the game away week 1, but that's the reason they sputtered the last 2 weeks is because Zach Wilson is just coming into the offense. Well, guess what? Last night, he was running that offense, not flawlessly, but he was running it very serviceably. And then on top of that, he was making all of the throws. He made every throw. Conklin was catching balls left and right. Uzama was making plays. Garrett Wilson was up to his usual bullshit. He did. He dropped a touchdown. But they played really well last night because of Zach Wilson.
Yep.
And that was the biggest game of his career. We were hearing about the locker room collapsing. He was buying ice cream for the team, and the city was getting ready to fucking pounce on his throat. Like, that maker broke his career last night. He would have been out of the league. He would have been out of the league. And we're talking about coaches losing locker rooms. I'll tell you what, I saw that entire sideline last night. That didn't look like a lost locker room.
I agree with that.
That looked like a team that was completely together. They had his back. They had his back after the game. They were consoling him. He said some great things after the game. I can't make the fumble. That was a tough fumble, but Zach Wilson, you are not the reason your team lost yesterday. It's not the officials. You just didn't do enough early on. That's all. If the Jets were in that game early on and didn't go down 17-0 or 17-3, it's a different ball game. I'm very curious. I know they have a big one this week, right? The Jets, it's the Broncos, right? I'm very curious.
The Broncos this week.
I am very curious to see if Zach Wilson, his problem. I'm sorry, not his problem, but one of the pros of Zach Wilson when they drafted him, it was his arm, and we knew he could make the throws. Okay, so if he continues to make the throws and they continue to make the plays, I'm very curious what the Jets do. Very, very. They had my attention last night. Zach, it was fun. It was a blast.
A fun game to watch.
It was a blast to watch Zach
100%.
Wilson for 2 quarters yesterday.
Yep.
A blast. 3 quarters. He was good in the 4th quarter. It was really fun watching him make the
Rodgers
throws.
didn't have a boot on.
Yeah, that's a big deal in itself.
That's huge.
The sock, the
he's
compression.
coming back.
That's a big deal in
huge.
itself. He's going to get his stitches out in
You know
California.
what that means, right?
Yeah, because
He'll be back before the end of the
guys are in a boot. Guys are in a boot when they tear their Achilles for 3 months. It's been 3 weeks.
Right.
And he's got to he's getting his stitches out, and he's kind of walking on it. Now there's still a whole lot that goes into it, but they said it was an experimental procedure. It's the same guy that did Cam Akers.
Yep.
If they're in it somehow, I don't think they're going to be in it. I really don't think they're going to be in it. But if they're in it, and we've talked about it, the back end of the AFC playoff picture, the bottom tier, it's open. So if they're 500 in December, and you're talking about Aaron Rodgers coming back in January, there's a lot to like. But who knows? Maybe Zach Wilson does the damn thing. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm very intrigued.
Listen,
and I'm
if he
excited
can
to
get
see
in there and get them 3 or 4 wins, they're in it.
3 or 4 wins probably does it.
Yeah, they're in it before he comes back.
I don't know if he's going to be back in November. That's what you're gearing towards. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think they're going to evaluate in December. They're going to talk in December.
He's 40 years old.
You know what? That's scaring hell out of the rest of the league.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
I've seen Aaron Rodgers come back and do bullshit before. I welcome it. I'm excited for Kirby Joseph to pick Aaron Rodgers off one more time in the Super Bowl. I welcome it.
In the Super Bowl.
Yeah, in the Super Bowl.
Listen, there was another thing that I didn't like about this game last night. Have the Chiefs so far this year not really felt like the Chiefs?
Yes.
Like, you keep saying the road to the Super Bowl goes through Kansas City.
It does.
That's not true anymore. I'm sorry, it's not true right now.
They're still early in the year.
Dude, you're a month in. You're a month in. Who are they missing?
They're missing pieces.
Who?
They're not themselves.
They're not themselves because they're not themselves.
They're playing with 2 rookie tackles that are just learning the game.
Well, no, they got Juwan
Taylor.
Yeah.
Who got called out on his shit and can't play his game anymore. All right?
They're gonna. They're dealing with that. Not only that, they're dealing with I think is probably the most talented offense that they've had there quite some time.
Well, just pass catchers, but it was similar last year. You think Juju's that much of an upgrade over whoever else is catching the ball now?
They don't feel the same. They don't have that same aura about them.
There's one thing the offense did well yesterday. That it's one small thing. They effectively ran the ball yesterday, and that's why they won.
Hill?
But they opted out of that.
I'm just saying, what if they had him right now?
They opted out of that. They said we didn't need him.
Yeah.
Right now,
they won without him.
To me, this doesn't feel like the same Kansas City team we've seen.
Okay.
No, but what makes them, it's similar to the Patriots, is they have the time to sit around and figure it out.
True.
Because their division is the worst in football.
Yep.
Their conference, there's no world beater left in their conference. Oh, by the way, I just want to say something about Kansas City. I saw after the game their record was 3-1, and I saw that one. Who was that one loss again, by the way?
Ooh.
Anyways, I'm with you. I don't love their offense. I know it was Jets D, and Jets D's outstanding, but Mahomes was off yesterday.
Yep.
Kelsey was completely isolated. He got taken out of the game, and there just wasn't a lot to like about the Chiefs. Their defense did a lot against a Jets offense that was surging for 2.5 quarters.
Yeah.
But other than that, there wasn't a lot to like about the Chiefs yesterday. I'm with you.
There was nothing. Outside of Isaiah Pacheco, I didn't like anything about the Chiefs game yesterday.
But that's scary also because there's nowhere to go but up for them.
That's also true. It's a good point. There was more
They
hype.
look like shit, and they're 3-1. You can't really complain about that.
No.
Yes, I didn't say that they weren't any good. I said they don't feel like the same.
No,
they're
They
not.
have a
They
lot
don't
to
feel
work
like
on.
Chiefs.
They have a lot to work on.
Yeah.
But hats off to Zach Wilson. I just want to say that was
Yeah, he
pretty.
finally looked like an NFL quarterback yesterday for the first time.
That was one of the most gutsy performances I've ever seen when you factor in all of the context and the people watching for Taylor
You know why I
Swift.
felt good for Robert Saleh? Because everybody was on that fucking guy.
He looked damn good yesterday, and he went to bat for his team when he was screaming at the ref. He went to bat for his team.
Yeah, but he was getting annihilated prior to that. After last week, dude, my God.
He got a unsportsmanlike conduct. I loved it.
He did. It was excellent. I've always wanted to see that. That's a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
And somehow there was a report before the game yesterday that him and Joe Schoen, whatever their GM's name, their jobs apparently aren't guaranteed. They aren't safe. Why the fuck would you move on from Robert Saleh?
I have no
That's
idea.
the best coach you've had there in years.
Since Rex Ryan was there.
Yeah, and he's better than Rex Ryan too. I think we
I
can
don't
agree
know
on
about
that,
that.
right?
He's got a hard on for the Ryan brothers.
No, he's not better than Rex Ryan. No.
Who's the ugly, fatter one?
You're the third Ryan brother.
You are.
You're
That's
Rob
why.
Ryan.
You look like
Rob Ryan.
Rex Dan.
Your buddy's
Rex
oldest.
No, the fat one.
No,
With the
Rob
ugly
Ryan.
one.
Rob Ryan.
Rob Ryan.
Yeah, the creepier one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
You're the creepiest, Ryan.
Rex is a good. He might not be a great head coach. He was an excellent defensive coordinator. And his dad was a great defensive coordinator.
Don't give me that fucking 85 Bears bullshit right now.
That 85 Bears team over anybody today.
Anyways, let's move on. Monday Night Football. The Seahawks are heading to MetLife to play the Giants. Seahawks are a 2.5-point favorite. Over/under in this game is 45.5. I'm going to go off.
No Saquon?
No Saquon Barkley
Saquon.
tonight. He's doubtful. Andrew Thomas is also out for them. Guess what? At the end of the day, we haven't seen enough of the Giants actually functioning as an offense to take them, let alone functioning as an offense without Saquon Barkley. I hate taking Seattle, but
what do people know about this? They're a 1.5 favorite. That's it.
They're 2.5 now.
You ready for this?
Oh God.
Daniel Jones is 1-12 in prime time. And when those games are at night, he's 1-9. He's very bad in prime time, including his last game that he played in too.
He's very due.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Because you want to know something?
Very due.
If Daniel Jones, this is just a little sidecar. If Daniel Jones can find a way to put up 13 points tonight in our fantasy league, the standings do not change. Everyone will be 2-2. All 14 teams will be 2-2.
I love that chaos scenario. Who has him?
CYO champs. They are down by 13. He is the only person left to go. He needs to if Daniel Jones puts up a 14, every 1-2 team will have beaten a 2-1 team this week, and everybody will be 2-2.
So here's the thing. I think the Seahawks are very fraudulent still.
I do too.
And I think that was a one-off game that the Lions needed to choke away to get everything back on track. I thought the Seahawks got pushed by a pretty bad team. Daniel Jones is actually serviceable at home. And I think that Brian Dable is one of the better coaches in football. I think he's a top 10 coach, and I think he's going to have them ready to play. I think he's going to have them prepared. And I really, really want to pick the Giants at home. I really do. In fact, I'll go as far. You know what? I'll buy into this. I'll say the Giants cover. I'll say they cover the 2.5. History tells me Daniel Jones isn't good enough to win this game, and it's going to be tough without Saquon. So I'll take Seattle to win it straight up. And the under.
There's going to be somebody that comes out of this game looking like a superstar. We just don't know who it is yet.
What are you going to tell us?
Darius Slayton.
This is a game that screams Jalen Hyatt. That Seattle secondary has not been good. Weatherspoon's banged up right now.
Playing? I thought he was out.
I think he is playing, but I know he's banged up. Can you check that, Devin Witherspoon?
He is playing, active.
He's playing.
Okay.
Their secondary hasn't been good. They gave up 40-some to the Lions. They gave up 20-some to the Panthers. They got stomped by Puka Nakua. So this might be a game that Daniel Jones eats, and I'm going to root for it because I just can't stand Seattle. And by the way, Seattle comes back to Ford Field again next year for the third or fourth year in a row. By the way, just want you guys to know that. Redemption's coming.
Uncle Sam?
Awesome. I'm going to take the Giants in this game.
Ooh.
Giants to win or Giants just to cover?
Giants to win.
Ooh.
I don't hate
Giants
it.
to win.
I don't hate it.
And I'm taking the under.
I'm going to take Seattle minus 2.5 in the under. Just because one of two things are going to happen. This is either, like, honest to God, last night was like the first late game that we've seen that was actually like a good football game all the way till the end. This is either going to be so dumpster fiery that it's going to be good up until the end, or Seattle's going to run them and it's going to be over.
Danny Dimes is due.
Danny Dimes is due.
That's the 3 Ds. Danny
Triple
Dimes
D.
is due.
Dimebag Danny.
Dimebag
That's it.
Danny.
Danny Dimes is due. He's 1 in what? 1 in fucking 12?
12 all time
In prime time.
prime
So
time.
something's got to
Danny
give.
Dimes is due.
Something's got to give.
Danny Dimes is due. He finds a way tonight to punch Pete Carroll in the hole.
Either Danny Dimes is due or Danny Dimes is doo-doo.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Okay. Anything else to add?
Taylor Swift, go away.
Zola?
I'm good. I'm excited for a Lions game day on Sunday.
It's going to be.
Take Travis Kelce with you.
Bruce, anything to add?
Actually, our picks this week, I had 3 losses. Zolo had 7 losses. You had 6. Sam had 6.
Wow. You only dumped 3 games this week?
3 games.
I'm going to fact check that to make sure.
You can check that out. I did it.
He's
while I was-
real
He's
baked.
probably he
He's
looks
so
baked right now.
baked
You
right
better
now
check that.
that we're gonna
Did
have
you at
to
least get
double
these
check.
picks right?
But you want to know what? You know what I noticed? He went against most of our picks, and we did do pretty bad this week.
It was a weird week.
Yeah, it was a fucked up
And
week.
you and I went out of our way to not go chalk, too. Like
Correct.
We picked the
Wait a minute, dude.
Panthers.
I
picked the Browns.
I was kind of grabbing at straws. I was. I'll admit it. There's a few games there where I shouldn't have done that.
Okay,
but
well,
I said
this
fuck
week-
it because I got
well,
mad.
you took
and it's-
Houston.
Huh?
You took Houston.
Of course I took Houston.
I think you were the only
believe
one that
in
took Houston.
I believe in Houston.
was the
He took the Rams over. We all took Indy.
My Houston was the
Yeah.
Browns. And like, can
Yeah.
I get a sad bark for the dog pound real quick?
No barking. Until the dog pound wins their fucking division. No barking.
So what you're saying
Get rid
is
of the Keebler elf.
if the Browns win the division, you'll bark?
If the Browns win the division, I will not only bark, I'll roll over.
How about playoffs? Can we settle at playoffs to get you to bark?
No,
I bark every week. I don't know
to
why
win their
you're too good
division.
to bark.
they have to win their division.
All right. So thank you guys again for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. We will be back Wednesday with our middle of the week kind of cleanup show. Make sure to follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, make sure to check us out on YouTube. Hop into the chat and remember to subscribe. Thank you to everybody who got into the chat today. We always love watching your guys' comments pop up.
Who's
on
in
there.
it?
Shout out to Arab Fantasy always.
Shout out to Arab Fantasy. Shout out to President Baker. Shout out to Angie Lalo.
He doesn't know what he's looking at.
Sarah, shout out to Sarah.
Shout out to Sarah. There's a whole bunch of them in there.
Sarah?
Solo
Sarah's on
Sarah.
there?
Solo Sarah.
I thought
our
you meant Sarah.
Different
I'm
Sarah.
sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you meant a different Sarah.
No.
No.
So, Thank you guys so much for listening. You will hear from us on Wednesday.